What I didn't know about, and most of you know that I decided to take a couple of sanity days, and I had my cell phone off the entire time.
Good for you.
Unfortunately, that was a problem because he was trying to reach me, and there was a conflict. They weren't sure that today was the day they were supposed to be here. Anyway, so, yeah. Hi.
Tap dancing.
So, tap dancing. So,
Thank you so much for coming.
Ganesh is tremendously special to me, and since Laura, I was not expecting for you to be here. Maybe you could also get up and speak. Ganesh is one of the Hindu gods, and also known as Ganapati.
Yeah.
And he is tremendously special, especially to me, because he's the Hindu god of removing obstacles. And if you have something that is really kind of weighing on you, that is really sort of, you can't get around it, over it, through it, then you would ask Ganesh for help. And I know that, with the many different traditions and the many ways of looking at Creator, looking at manifestations of Creator, it is always so exciting to hear about and learn about one of the other, the way I call it, one of the other faces of God. And even though whether it's a, monotheistic, whether it's the aspect of one God, whether it's the aspect of many gods, all of them are really all the faces of Creator. Mm-hmm. And at a time in my life when it was tremendously difficult for me to, kind of get around a few things, I was trying to get my head wrapped around a lot, and, and there was a lot that was overwhelming me. That was when, Ganesh sort of came into my life at that point. And it was at a time when I had a lot of obstacles that I could not see any way around. And in the way that, we put things in the prayer jars, and for those of you who have God jars, it's like, hey, I can't handle this, this one's for you, God. Ganesh is sort of a personification of that. And it's really interesting because, and there are different versions of the story of Ganesh, but the idea that Ganesh is the remover of obstacles, and he actually became Ganesh by being an obstacle. And the story that Parvati, who was a Hindu goddess, wanted a child, and she was married to Shiva. And so one day she went to her bath, and she was thinking so much that, she wanted this child, she wanted this baby, and she wanted this little boy. And so it is believed, or it was said, that from her will, her love, her desire, and the magic waters of the bath, Ganesh was formed. And she gave birth to him right there in the bath. And he was pretty much, he was this little round fellow, and he was still a god. And so she gave him his first job. And she said, my son, I wish to take my bath, and I want no one to disturb me. And I will ask that you guard the gate to my bath area. So Ganesh takes a spear and toddles himself out, all of less than a day old, and stood guard. And Shiva came to see his wife in the bath, and he sees this little person in front of him barring his way. And he said, well, I'm going to see Parvati. And Ganesh goes, no, you will not. No one disturbs my mother in her bath. And Shiva says, I am Shiva. Parvati is my wife. I will go into the bath. And Ganesh looked and said, it does not matter to me, Father. You will not go and disturb Mother. Shiva tried to move past him, and Ganesh blocked his way. And it went from him just being an irritation to Shiva becoming tremendously angry. And so it became a very heated fight. And in the fight, Ganesh was killed. Shiva pulled out his blade and he cut him into pieces. And when Parvati came out and saw it, she was devastated. She was angry. And that created a battle between the Hindu gods. Many traditions talk about a battle between the gods. Even in the Christian traditions, they speak of, wars in heaven where, the angels were in opposition to one another. So this is a very common theme, and in a way it allows us to think that even these ultimate personifications of everything, the gods were viewed as this ultimate expression of humanity, that even in that there's light and shadow. Even in that there can be anger and dissonance. So a huge battle ensued. Shiva and the gods that sided with him on one side, and Parvati and the gods and goddesses who sided with her. And it reached the point where they realized, we are going to destroy one another and the earth is suffering. The people who depend on us to watch over them and to keep them safe. Because during this time, no prayers were being answered. During this time, the people were left to themselves. They had, the weather was going crazy, and, they said, it's like, well, what's going on, what's going on? So, there was an agreement. Shiva said, if I restore your son, are you willing to end this war? And Parvati said, you must restore him fully. And so Shiva said, okay. So he went and, he found all the pieces and parts of Ganesh, but he couldn't find his head. And he knew, okay, she may notice this. It's not like going to IKEA and it's like, oh, there's parts missing and parts left over. So he was really struggling with that. And so he went to all the animals of the world. And he said, I need the head of one of your young in order to stop this war. And without hesitation, the mother elephant came forward. And she said, because I carry the wisdom of all that has been and all that will be, I know that this sacrifice is worth it. You may take the head of my son. And that sacrifice, that is why the elephant is considered so sacred in India. Because she volunteered her child. And that idea of sacrifice, that idea which is also in many different traditions, the giving up of a son to save the world. That's something that I think is very common.
That sounds familiar.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So Shiva took the head of the baby elephant and he placed it on the body and he restored life to it. And he brought the child to Parvati, which, yeah, she noticed. And she looked at Shiva and he said, I did my best. I tried to restore him, but this is the best I could do. And in honoring the sacrifice of the mother elephant, will you accept this child as good enough? And Parvati looked into the face of the elephant child and saw her child in its eyes. And she saw that truly she had her child back. And she embraced him and loved him. And the battle ended. And there was peace. And she said so that Ganesh would be held sacred, that the first tone would be given to him. So when we say Om, it is considered the first tone. It is considered the most sacred tone. That is the symbol that is attached to Ganesh. Also, the fact that he was given the special power as a god to remove obstacles. As I said, even though he started off as one. But by him coming into being, he allowed peace. And when we think about having obstacles removed, I mean, life, it's constant obstacle after obstacle, and then we do well. You know, the saying I have is, life is fun until it isn't, and it sucks until it doesn't. And as we move from one place of things getting in our way, it is a balance because of the fact that there's going to be good times and there's going to be hard times. There's going to be obstacles, and it is about those obstacles allowing us to grow. It is about us moving forward from these obstacles. Whether it's financial, whether it's a miscommunication, that means your speaker doesn't show up. And yet, you know, we don't cancel the service because something like that happened. I was so glad to hear from them, that because I thought maybe something had happened to them. So it's not about an obstacle. It's about removing the parts of the obstacle, because for me, in my relationship with Ganesh, it isn't that he takes away, you know, the obstacle completely. What he does is he shows me the doorway. He shows me what I need to see. What was that thing that I wasn't picking up? What was it that I wasn't noticing that kept me from being able to solve the problem myself? In my view, that what Ganesh does is he turns on a light and he says, hey, there was something you didn't notice. Take a look at it again. It's not quite so overwhelming. There's a solution in there. Because we grow from getting past obstacles. We are stronger. A muscle becomes stronger when it's challenged. If you sit and do nothing, then the muscle weakens. If you have somebody bring you everything, you don't get strong. It is through the fact that we have overcome so much. And keep in mind, each one of us, no matter how bad something has gotten, no matter how bad a situation has gotten, we have survived 100% of the things that we had to face. Maybe it wasn't pretty. Maybe it wasn't exactly how we hoped it would be. Maybe it was like, you know, seeing your baby and it has an elephant head. You know, maybe it didn't come out exactly the way you wanted it, but you made it through. You grew from it, you learned from it, and every person here has had that experience. A lot of people here have had an experience where their lives could have been lost. And, you know, it could be from, maybe you were in an accident that everybody said there's no way you should have survived it. Maybe it's facing a terminal illness and overcoming it. Maybe it's, you know, I had an uncle who had this overwhelming impression not to get on a plane. He didn't, and the plane went down. So for whatever reason we survive, we survive. We survive not, you know, in spite of our obstacles and challenges, but because of them. And by allowing ourselves to accept that the universe is willing to help us with it, Creator is willing to help us with it, that we can ask. Maybe we don't get it as easy as we would like, but by having to work for it, it makes it that much more important. It makes it that much more powerful, and it makes it ours. And Parvati could have just said, you know what, this didn't come out perfect. This child is not perfect. It is not what I started with, so therefore I will not accept anything less. But she did, because she knew that Shiva had done his best. She knew that there were bigger issues than her anger. And sometimes that's hard to remember, that sometimes we have to choose between being right and being happy. Sometimes we have to choose between, you know, our righteous indignation that this person did a lousy thing and we are going to hold it against them forever, and we are justified in that. And sometimes we realize, you know what, we're all human. And when we think about it, maybe we've had less than human moments. And maybe we've had times when having our apology accepted meant the world to us. Sometimes we lose our temper and we take action. and people get hurt. And the important thing is not that we never do that, because it's human nature to do it. But what do we do with it afterwards? Can we put the pieces together in a way that we can demonstrate, I did not mean for this to be that hurtful to you. I did not mean to create chaos, and I'm sorry. A heartfelt I'm sorry can cover a lot. And even if Parvati never totally forgave him, even if it's like, well, okay, this works, but I'm still mad at you. We'll call off the war, but I'm still mad at you. Even with that, you know, she wasn't able to go into that place within her own heart and say, it's okay. Then she could not have accepted Ganesh, because there would have always been that thing about, oh, well, you know, he's not what I want. And I think everybody here has had a moment where they felt, maybe I'm not what this person wants. We felt unwanted. We felt like we weren't good enough. Parvati looked into those eyes. She did not see flaws. She did not see a mistake. She saw her son. She saw his love. And she saw the love of someone else who said that it was more important for there to be peace, and was willing to give something up. There was no way she couldn't love him. Each one of us have somebody who love us for our flaws. We don't have to be perfect. This community loves each and every one of us. There is no doubt that, you know, Dottie, you could walk into her office. She once said this about me, that somebody could come up to me and, you know, say, you know what, I'm an axe murderer, and I'd still give him a hug. Which I would, but I'd take the axe away first. But Dottie's the same way. You know, I see people walk in there and hesitate, and she just makes them feel so okay. She helps them feel safe. This community is about, we all get to be good enough. And we don't have to be perfect. And we don't have to be some idealized, you know, form of anything. We can come in here in a bad mood. We can come in here in a good mood. We can come in here feeling secure, feeling insecure, because we're a family. Because we're a community that cares. We don't have to be perfect. And each and every one of us have the ability to be a remover of obstacles. Each and every one of us have the opportunity to expand and grow and forgive and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And we can look at somebody else who's struggling and say, hey, you know what? I think there's something you missed in this. Take a look at it again. It's not so overwhelming. And I'm going to help you with it. You can do this. We encourage one another. You know, it's not about handing a solution. It's about helping you find your own. It's about each and every person here finding their own way. And if there's a connection to Ganesh, you know, that I feel so personally, and it was funny because the connection was created at a point when I didn't even know who Ganesh was. And when I described this being that had come to me during a meditation and a vision, somebody came up and opened up a book and said, is this what this thing looked like? Because I'd had this entire experience with this spirit, and I said, yeah, that's him. And they said, okay, this is Ganesh, and you need to read about him. You need to learn about him. And in looking at the idea of removing obstacles, of helping us find our way, of being that flashlight in the dark, of being a beacon, Ganesh leads us to that. And whether you refer to Ganesh or Jesus or Muhammad or Allah or Buddha. They're all these wonderful beings that have flashlights that help us notice stuff that we miss because we're too wrapped up in it. That help us be able to find our way through the dark. Because there's nothing in the dark that isn't there in the light. It just seems scarier. It seems scarier when you're alone. But none of us have to be. We have spirit. We have each other. We have a community that expands beyond this community. And each and every one of us, can take turns holding a flashlight and needing one. Because that's what we do. And through that, we are the removers of obstacles. Ganesh is in each and every one of us, as is Shiva, who acted out of frustration and the assumption that he was being disrespected. We also carry Parvati, who through will and love allowed a life to come in and then experienced the loss of it. She grieved as any mother would grieve. And who among us hasn't grieved a loss? And Parvati is also the spirit of forgiveness, of acceptance, of saying your effort is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect for me to love it. So I thank the spirit of Ganesh because, like Creator, whenever I call, no matter what I call, it by, Spirit is there. And it says, oh, okay, well, today you can call me Ganesh because I know you relate to that. Or today I will be the goddess because I know that's how you need me to be. Spirit comes to us and is what we need it to be in that moment, what relates to us, what resonates with us. And maybe it's a story, but it's a nice one. That life and death exist together, and that we can transcend that we can be reborn, that no matter what happens that takes us apart, we can be put back together again by Spirit. No matter how many times I have fallen apart, and it's been a lot, I know that Spirit is there to put me back together and breathe life back into me. And I can come back with renewed commitment and renewed joy for all the gifts I have. Ganesh was not angry at Shiva. Ganesh was reborn to love all things. Because as the remover of obstacles, resentment is an obstacle. Judgment is an obstacle. Self-doubt is an obstacle. Self-blame is an obstacle. Shame is an obstacle. And yet, by overcoming it, that's how we grow. We cannot learn to resent less by never experiencing resentment. We face it, we engage it, we process it, and then we get to the other side where there's peace. Because on the other side of all those obstacles is peace and strength and growth. So the next time somebody takes something apart or damages you in a way, remember that it has come into your life for a reason, for you to learn more about acceptance. Because if we can accept the others, and if we can be able to forgive others, we can forgive ourselves. If we can let go that something has to be perfect, then we can accept our own imperfection. And it removes the obstacles. because it takes away the attachment we have to doing it right and to being perfect. When I realized the speaker wasn't going to be here and I had set the whole thing up, and I just felt like, ugh, seriously, how could I not make sure this thing was perfect? And I had in my head how it was going to be. And I created that perfect little life. And then reality came and cut it into bits. And then it's like, okay, reality, not cool.
I don't like you anymore.
I don't like you anymore. But we put it together. And when I say we, I mean we. You know, Dottie could have looked at me and said, wow, seriously? You didn't get this settled, you didn't do this, and, you know, but she didn't. It's like, okay, let's do something else. Let's figure out something else. Let's put it back together again. It may not look like what we originally thought it would look like, but it's pretty cool. And each day when we get to practice it and get to find that place where, well, it's not exactly what I thought it'd be, but it's pretty cool, we can do that and let go. So thank you, Ganesh, for removing the obstacle of my self-judgment and of my desire to be perfect. And I know we've done this several times, and I know every time you just smile and say, okay, you know this one. And I go, oh, right, okay. So thank you all. And I'd like Laura to come up so she can, you know, I mean, everything works out the way it should be, and she looks so beautiful in her white. And she was going to tell us about her trip to India. And yes.
I wanted to share something of the Ganesh story.
Mm-hmm.
The place where I work, I'm having problems with this machine, and we were having problems with this machine in the box. Place where I work, I work as a line maintenance technician in a wafer fab that creates computer chips. And we're having problems with this one machine, and basically it shut the whole place down, and the boss had to lay off everybody, and I was the only one left there to fix the machine. And I was banging my head on it, trying to get it going, and it just wasn't going to do anything. And the boss's daughter came up and says, "Is it all right if I pray to Ganesh?" They're Hindus. And the boss says, "Oh, don't do that. Be quiet about it. You know." And I said, "Well," I said, "if it works, fine."
I'm pragmatic, yeah.
And so she did, and by the end of the day, we figured out how to get the thing going, and I got it going and all that. And then they called all the people back, and everybody.
Yay! That's wonderful.
And also in the Catholic tradition, St. Jude is the patron saint of impossible wishes. So, you know, it's St. Jude is the Catholic version of Ganesh.
Yes.
I'm passing around a little plasticized version of Ganesh, and because you can hold it for a minute. And where when we talk about Ganesh at home, on my nightstand, I have a bronze one that this morning said, "I want to go." And I said, "No, I don't think we're going to need you because we have these speakers." So Ganesh started talking to me early this morning also about wanting to come here. So this was his day, and he was going to take it somehow. So here we go. Laura, did you run into Ganesh in India?
Well, it's everywhere. They adore him. Yeah. Well, the first thing I wanted to tell you is that
Get
this
behind
is
the mic so we can
again,
record.
Ganesh has opened the space for me to come and see and be here and talk to you about all this. When they told me they're going to talk about the journey to India, I thought, one set of people's experience will probably be enough, Eileen. I don't think I'm going to want to come in and tell about my spiel and everything. So I'll talk to them about it some other time or whatever. I wasn't going to speak. I just wanted to come in and listen to them. But of course, Ganesh came in. If you kind of don't get it, or if you have never kind of realized the shape of Ganesh, the poster that is on my door is Ganesh. Is the removal of the obstacles, not just my obstacles, but the obstacles of anybody who crosses this door. And it's also a guard that will not let any evil come in, with that force of the elephant that will not let anybody else come in. And the connection I made with Eileen's, as she was talking about all these rupas, the forms of God. The rupa is a very interesting concept in the Indian philosophy, in the Hindu philosophy. Rupa is your particular form. There is no imperfection in your rupa. Your swarupa is Ani. Your swarupa is Jan. My swarupa is Laura, Eileen. We all have a rupa, a swarupa, the form of ourself. That's what Swarupa means. And that's what my yoga is about. So I'll pass the advertisement, come to this yoga.
Tell them when your yoga is.
Well, if you haven't seen it in there, the Thursdays 10:30 a.m. to 12, and the evenings I have 7:30 to 9 o'clock. So it's all about that, finding that rupa inside of you. Also brings me to let you know about the concept that God is this enormous light. Light is white light, but white light has many colors in it, the spectrums of light. Now the Hindu philosophy, the Hinduism has a lot of people think all these gods of the Hindu. No, guys. This is wrong conception. We have not gotten it right. They believe in one God only, that light, that creator Brahman, that one that is everything, that takes the rupa of everybody, okay, the form of everybody. And just like the spectrum, that light has a spectrum of colors. You have the red spectrum, the ultraviolet, the one in between, the one we can see, the one we can't even perceive. So for our benefit, this particular segment, this particular color, it has a name. Parvati represents whatever on this spectrum. Shiva represents something else on this spectrum. Ganesh, another spectrum of this light. Each of you, little spectrums, and we are mostly rainbows, right? All colors in there. And so that is one of the very most opening in my mind, and one of the things that has helped me appreciate everybody, appreciate myself. And once Dori told me, you see the divine on everything, Laura. And the Buddhist, yes. Because, Buddha is the Swarupa of Buddha is one aspect of God. Jesus, Mohammed, each one of these different divine forms have the difference between them and us is they know it. They know they're divine, and we don't. We haven't realized it yet. Okay, so it's all about realizing your Swarupa, all about appreciating your Rupa, and all about knowing that this rupa is divine and there is no imperfection in any of the things. It's all lila, a game. And if you want to read more, or if you want to learn more about what Eileen was talking about, the books of Vanamali, the lady that came to tell us about Hinduism, are all there in our library. They talk about the story of Shiva, which she said so wonderfully. And she gave us the long version, okay? There is a shorter version that Shiva comes in and just cuts his head, and then goes on and finds another head. The first head that he came in and found was the elephant. So there is the shorter version, and there is all kinds of versions, but she did a wonderful one because it's the complete yes, and then added more onto that dimension of why Parvati represents what she represents, and what Ganesh represents what she represents, and all that good stuff. So my journey to India was exactly on that. And Dori convinced me you don't have to go around India to find what you need to find. Don't go there, because there was a flood in the Tamil Nadu area, which is one of the areas that we were going to be touring around. And to be honest, between what she said and other people told me, and Indian friends of mine told me, Laura, it's not going to be very nice. And I kept thinking, my spirit kept saying, well, yeah, but I know Shivananda will open the doors for us. I know Ganesh is with us. I know we can go through all these. Part of me was, yes, I'm going to do it. Yes, I'm going to do it. But then in the end, after all that, the penny dropped. No, I don't need to do this. I don't need to go to the different parts. I can do that. I can find what I need to find better on an intense ashram stay, which is what I did. And I just stayed in the ashram and immersed myself in the ashram routines and in the ashram thing. And so that's what gave me also the interest, the push to take my hair off.
The courage.
The courage, because it does take courage. Okay? Because they saying, I'm going to give my strength to all this, I'm going to give my vitality to all this, I'm going to give my beauty to all these things that my ego, in essence, this is what we are giving up. And I shaved in a Ganesh ceremony. One of the Ganesh removed the obstacles for me to do this. After that ceremony, I said, yes, I want to do this. Yes, I'm sure. I had always thought about it, but never quite got the idea. So, yeah, I found my Rupa. Yes, I found what I wanted in India. No, you don't have to go to India, but man, it really helps. It does facilitate, just because, just like you come to CCL to tune your fork. Okay, you hear this vibration that we put here, you hear the oneness, you hear the love, and it's there, you have it, you don't need to come to CCL, but man, does it help? Don't you come out feeling better about yourself? Don't you come out getting that vibration of love, more tuned in with the vibration of love that is in here? So, you don't need to come to CCL, you don't need to come to yoga, you don't need to do it. You can sit in your house, you can do what you're doing and find it inside of you. But it helps to come in and tune in with the vibration, the frequencies that other people are putting out. And I know my frequencies have gotten to where they have gotten because I have been in touch with each of you. With Eileen, with Dori, with Corky, to see this community and how this community loves, expresses love to one another, and how this community brings this love into the inner experience of love that each of us thrives on. Okay. This bracelet said Om Namah Shivaya. The Ya part, Shiva, Ya, is the part that is in me. Om Namah Shivaya in me, that creator in me. And I keep it now here because I want to remind that myself, that yes, Shiva is in me, yes, Ganesh is in me, yes, everyone is in me. And I like to finish with something I do every day myself, or just every time I'm kind of on that setting the path for something to open. I chant to Ganesh. It's a very easy chant. And Jaya Ganesha Pahimam, Jaya Ganesha Rakshamam. Okay, that's all. Jaya Ganesha, Pahimam, Jaya Ganesha, Rakshaman. And Jaya Ganesha means dear Ganesh, or long live Ganesh, you know, hell Ganesh. Jaya is the hell part. Ganesh is, of course, Ganesh. Pahimam, protect me. Pahimam, shelter me. Open these spaces. Rakshamam, shelter me. Would you like to learn it?
Sure, yes,
And now that Ganesh is passing around, I think is beautiful, is perfect. So this is what we say to him. I will say, and then you will say, it's a call and response, okay? Yaya Ganesha, Yaya Ganesha, Yaya Ganesha, Pahimam, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Rakshamam. Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Pahimam, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Rakshaman. Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Pahimam, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Rakshaman. Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Pahimam, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Rakshaman. Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Pahimam, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Rakshaman. Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Pahimam, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Rakshaman. Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Pahimam, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Rakshaman. Jaya Guru Shri Guru Jaya Guru Ram Dhamma Guru Chinmaya Guru Chidganaram. And that part is just the closing, but you can certainly just stay with Jaya Ganesha until you feel that vibration of Ganesh inside of you. And I am going to give it to Dori in writing. So maybe we can put it,
okay, yeah.
because it's a very easy chant, isn't it? And you can do with that Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva, Jaya Shiva Rakshaman, you can do Jaya Durga, Jaya, all the aspects of the different deities. Jaya Jesus, Jaya Jesus, Pahimam, protect me Jesus, you know, shelter me. That's what we're asking, you know. And I guess I made it nice and short so that nobody gets
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for deciding to be here.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
Thanks,
David,
Laura.
do you have any questions that you want to ask Laura? Anybody?
Laura, how did you find being in India for you personally? How was it for you?
How did I find being in India?
For you
How was
personally?
your experience?
What was your experience?
Oh, my experience of being in India. You know, I was born in India.
I thought you were born in Oaxaca,
I was
Mexico.
born in Mexico, yeah. I think I kind of got the coordinates wrong because I might have. No, it just is familiar to me. It just is. I never get sick. I get hot. I do get hot. But again, it's the imbalances that I'm bringing. And I begin to, when you go there, the first time that you go there, you know, you start feeling, oh my gosh, this is hot. I mean, I can't take it. Ooh, look at all that dirt that is in there. Ooh, look at all that poverty that is in there. How can the government not have finished the polio in the people, you know, the beggars with polio? I mean, there's just things that really get you, you know. India is going to test you every time that you are there. But once you settle, once you find the balance, and once you tune into the spiritual aspects of India, because India is a very spiritual place, and people are incredibly spiritual. You know, you will find that spirituality across the board, you know, mothers, helping the daughter find a husband, for example, which used to be one of the concepts I used to rebel against. Now, what do you mean, yes, that we're gonna, I have a daughter, you have a son, let's get them together. No, well, they don't do it like that, they do horoscopes, they do the Vedic horoscopes, they make sure they're compatible, they make sure that and they do it so lovingly. They have actually a very low rate of divorces, a very low rate of failures. The whole family is there supporting one and supporting the other on this journey. Whereas we go off and, off the top of our heads, because my friends in high school are doing this, and it's cool to go with the guy, this one, whatever. You go marry somebody who's not even compatible with you, who doesn't love you, and the rate of divorces in this country is just horrendous. I mean, it's just this, one in every, every other,
It's
people.
just over 50% now.
50%. So, yeah.
How did you find that particular ashram?
Well, that's the other thing. That is my very special Shivananda ashram. My first certification of yoga was Shivananda, here in Grass Valley, yoga farm in Grass Valley. And again, I don't have to go to India. The only thing is that in Grass Valley, it cost me $85 a day to be there for my room and board. In India, it cost me $12 a day for room and board. And that includes all your food, includes all the yoga classes that are available, includes the ceremonies that are going around or whatever. And the dorms are fantastic, You get a dorm. I stayed in a dorm. It's a $12 a day thing, because they didn't have the $15 a day room, okay? So those ones go real fast. So if you want a room with the double room with somebody, like you two, John, and I want to take you all there, guys, because I think it's really very affordable. Once you kind of pay your $1,500, which is about what it costs to be there, you can get incredible deals in airfare. I have heard even $400.
Wow.
If you go on the right time, if you go the low season, etc., etc. And of course, going there in the winter time is definitely advisable, because the summertime is going to get hotter. That no matter how much your vibrations raise, you're not going to be. It's going to be uncomfortable for you. So that double room will be like $15 to $20. I think is what it is in the different for a double room. So it really is affordable to be there. And I know people that have come in there they go there to 3 months, 6 months. They go there to take long ashram stays. I love the ashram because it's the same routine in every single ashram, in every single Shivananda ashram. You can go to Bahamas. There is an ashram in Bahamas. You can go upstate New York, Shivananda ashram in upstate New York. Balmoral in Canada has an ashram. So this is one of the strengths of in Himalaya, of course. There's Himalaya Coutiers. This is a very large organization. They have ashrams all over the place. In India there are about 5. We also have ashrams in just about anywhere, really. In Brazil, in Argentina, I know about. In Europe there are ashrams. So it's an ashram that you can continue your practice, if you like. Everybody does the same. And this particular one is my favorite because it's close to water. There's a Neyar Dam, the water. And that means there is plenty of water for all the showers you want to take, for everything, it just is everywhere. And a lot of water for the gardens. So the yards, the gardens are like a 5-star hotel, guys. Like a resort, you walk into, it's all elevating. Everything is absolutely immaculately green. It's lots of water. And immaculately green, it's gorgeous to go to be there. And beautiful halls, huge halls. The last, when I came in, we had 400 people rooming, but yes, it's one of these. Yeah, unfortunately, that was the day that I volunteered to go and set up you have to do seva, you have to do 2 hours of service. And unfortunately, it's the day that I volunteered to go and serve brunch. And man, I was like so regretful that I volunteered for that. It was like, I ended up like red like a tomato, you know, drenched in heat and rushed off my feet. We were short of people, and there were 400 people to be served. Wow. So it is not all that, you know, so, but you get this incredible elevating, you know, that feeling that you at the end of the day you say, yes, I'll do it. Yes, no problem. Sure, I can cut my hair. Sure, I can serve 400 people. Sure, I can mop the floor of this huge hall. And no problem. You get that energy. You get your energy does rise to a very fine, refined and fine vibration. Whatever you have the grace of the masters to do all this. You have the grace of Ganesh. We have certainly Ganesh in a beautiful. Ganesh is lying down like that, you know. And if you saw, maybe this one doesn't have it. Let me see. Now, oh yes, he's right here. The one who carries Ganesh is a mouse. And that has two meanings. One is, don't be deceived by the size. And the rupa of Ganesh, which is a huge thing, the rupa of the mouse, the form, which is a teeny thing. Don't be deceived, because the strength of the mouse is there to carry Ganesh. Also, is the only animal that Ganesh is scared of. Right. Because if the mouse crawls up his nose, it's going to block him. So don't be deceived by the size of those animals. The size, you know. Lovely, goes with that African saying, if you think small things are not important, try sleeping on the same room as with a mosquito.
Yeah.
You want to know that it has the power, that teeny weeny thing has the power to disturb your sleep. And the same with him, you know, with the mouse has the power to go crawl up the nose of the elephant and kill him and you know, suffocate him. So it's interesting, because it's all these things come together. And as you get there, and as you enter the culture, and as you go beyond the rupa, beyond the form of the beggar, beyond the dirt that you see, beyond the poverty that you see, as you go beyond that, you start seeing the other. You start seeing the divinity in all this. You start seeing that, yeah, you know, everybody manages to do what they need to do and go and get to where they need to get to. And do what they need to do. And the children look beautiful, beautiful skins. Everybody, very few people are like really this gross overweight like we are, because they eat what they need, you know. They don't eat a lot, but they eat what they need. They go to the temples on the Sunday, you know, you go visit the temple on a Sunday. Everyone has got the gold in here, the gold in there, the children are gorgeously groomed. There is love. There is love in there. And love is what moves it all, doesn't it? That energy of love, that's what it moves it all. So,
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to.
Yeah. I know. He's a funny little Ganesh, but he's our Ganesh. So thank you so very much.
Can I share something?
Yes.
Short. For all the artists in here, I wanted to tell you about a movie that nobody knows that is really, really good, and it's tangentially what we've been talking about, not